Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This is part 9 of my Gateway API for Kubernetes series, and today I want to show you how we can do URL redirect and URL rewrite. In my last video I already showed you how we can do routing based on the path, the header, the query, and today I want to follow up with this routing topic. So URL rewrite and URL redirect, first I'm going to quickly explain them because they sound similar, but they are completely different. In the end, I'm going to show you a demo, as always. Also, if you're interested in the slides or the demo, you can scan the QR code or you'll find the link in the description down below. First, let's take a look at the rewrite. This is quite simple. I can send a URL and then I can decide if I want to rewrite it or not. I can also decide where I want to send this request. So for example, if I send contoso.com to my gateway, in our case to the application gateway for a container, because we're using this in Azure, but it works the same way with any implementation of the gateway API you have. So in this case, we decide we don't do anything, and then we forward contoso.com to our website service. In the second case, we have contoso.com/shop. Here we do a rewrite of the URL. As you can see, we send contoso.com/ecommerce and we send this to the e-commerce service. So here we have a follow-up of my last video where we can decide how we can route. In this case, we are routing based on the path, but we are also going to change the URL. If you now take a look at the URL redirect, this is something completely different. In this case, we send the request contoso.com/summer promotion, but we do a redirect. This means we send an HTTP 302 back to the client. We also tell the client the new location. Then the client can send another request with this new location. When we do a URL redirect, the request never reaches our Kubernetes cluster. It is redirected at the application gateway for a container back to the client. This is one of the advantages of having this resource outside of our cluster. This means if we get a lot of requests which require redirects, then our cluster is never hit with the requests. Therefore, no resources are used in the cluster. Here we can have HTTP 302 or 301. That's the most common one. They are moved permanently and moved temporarily, but you can use whatever HTTP code you want, and you can also do whatever you want with the request. So now with this, let's switch over to the terminal and I will show you how easy it is to implement the URL redirect and the URL rewrite. All right, here in the terminal, let's define a couple variables first. So the first variable is the namespace where we have installed our gateway and then the name of our gateway itself. Next up, we have the information about the demo application. So this is the namespace I've deployed it, the HTTP route name, and the name of the two demo applications. I installed them in the last video, so if you want to follow this video, take a look at the video and how you can set it up. Lastly, I also configured a URL. This means the DNS is pointing to my gateway and I can use my own URL. I also showed this in a previous video, so again, if you're interested in how to set this up, take a look at the playlist in the description down below. Now let's take a look at our demo namespace, what we have deployed there. Here we should see we have 4 applications running. We scroll up a bit, we have here 4 services, all are cluster IP. This means they are not available from the outside of the cluster, but thanks to our gateway, we can access them anyways. If you scroll a bit further up, we also have 4 pods running for 4 applications. Today we're using the one routing 1 and this one, the routing 2. They are just basic WhoAmI or traffic WhoAmI pods. This will allow us to see the hostname of the pods, for example. So if our request is sent to the app number 1, we will see it in the name. With this, now let me copy the new HTTP route where we do some URL rewrite, and then I'm going to show you how to implement this. So the type, as you can see, HTTP route, then some basic information like the name and the namespace where we want to deploy it. Here we have a reference to the gateway. This means the name and the namespace. Then we have our URL. And the interesting part is here in the rules section. So first off, the path prefix has to match to /my. So anything that has /my in the URL will match this rule. And what we do then in this filter is we have a URL rewrite. And down here, we can configure what we want to do. So we want to replace the prefix match, in this case, the /my, what we've configured up here. And we want to replace it with /replaced. If this rule applies, then we send it to the application number 1. If this rule does not apply, then we send it to the application number 2. This will also allow us to test if our rules work or not. If they work, we will see application number 1. If they did not work, then we'll see application number 2. So now let's save this in the variable and apply the variable. So once this is applied, we can test it and we'll see what's happening. So first, let's do a curl to our URL with /my/path. Here you can see we landed at the routing number 1 application. This means our rule worked. If we scroll up a bit, we can also see what request was sent to the application. And here you can see it was sent /replaced/path. This is because the /my was replaced with this replaced. So now if we try something else, for example, if we remove the my, so we just do a curl with the URL and /path, then we can see we are landed at the routing number 2 because the rule didn't match. Therefore, we use the default route and that's the number 2. Now let's take a look at a second rewrite scenario. So let me paste the HTTP route again. And here you can see on top, everything is the same. This time we use as the path prefix /my/path. And for the URL rewrite, we do a replace full path with /replaced. If this matches, then we route again to the app number 1. If it does not match, then we route to app number 2. So let me save this and apply it. Then we're gonna test it again. So first I'm going to do a curl with /my/path. So exactly what we have configured up here. So let me clean this up and do the curl. Here you can see we ended up in the routing number 1. This means our rule was matched. If you take a look of the request, we just have /replaced because we replaced everything. And to highlight this even more, let's try another request. This time we're sending our URL /my/path/abc. So if you remember, only this was defined in the rule. But if we execute this now, we have again app number 1. If you take a look at the request, we can see it's again /replaced. Because as soon as this rule matches, we replace everything we have. So it does not matter what's coming after the /my/path. A last test I want to do is again our routing URL, but this time we only do /my. There's no path. If we execute this, we can see we are here at the app number 2 because the rule was not satisfied. If we take at the request, it's also /my. So nothing was changed. All right. So I think it's quite simple, but very powerful what you can do with rewrites. On the other side, URL redirects work almost the same. So let me again paste our new HTTP route. So in this case, again, on top here, everything stays the same. Then for the rule, we have again /my/path, but this time we do a request redirect. And here we do a replace full path with /replaced, and we send the status code 302, which means moved temporarily. So this just some additional information for the client. Let's save this in the variable, apply it, and then again, we can test it. To test the redirect, we can do again a curl, and we can use the parameter -v for verbose. But under Windows, you don't see too much information. So if we execute this, we can just see that the request /replaced was sent. We have the HTTP 200 status code, but we don't see anything of our 302, which we expected to see. So let's switch over to a Linux, and then we're going to execute the same command. And here we get some additional information. So here we can see we have the 302. We also see here our original request. And then we can see our new request, the one with /replaced. This means we sent /my/path to the application gateway. This one sent back HTTP 302, informing us that the URL or the file has been moved. Then our client, in this case the curl, tried again with the new location. This is the /replaced, and then we'll get HTTP 200, which we don't see here, but we've seen it under Windows, and we also didn't get any error messages. Then if you try something else, so let's clean this up. This time /my/path/abc and execute this. We can also see we got again a 302, and again we send a new request with /replaced. This is because we replace everything as long as this /my/path matches. But if we do now a request with only /my, we execute this, then we can see there's no 302 or anything. We just see we have the HTTP 200 and the request is /my. Also, we can see here that the request was sent to the app number 1. This is because I sent everything to my app number 1. So I didn't configure to send anything to app number 2. All right, now with this, let's switch back to our Windows. Let's clean this up and add a new HTTP route where I do some more request redirecting. So if I paste this in, as always, I leave everything on top the same. Here again, we have /my/path, but this time I do a replace prefix, and I do it with the /replaced and also the HTTP 302. As you can see down here, I only have the app number 1 configured. So everything I send to this URL will be sent to the app number 1. Let's save this in a variable, apply it. Then we switch again to our Linux to test the curl. Let's clean this up and send our first request. It's the URL /my/path. That's exactly what we configured. Here you can see we have the 302 and our new request is /replaced. So nothing surprising there. And if we do the same, except this time we do as /my/path/abc, then again 302. As you can see here, we have a /replaced/abc. This is because we configured that we want to replace /my/path. In the last example, we replaced everything, but now we only want to replace specific words or phrases. The last one is if we send a request, but this time we only send /my. This means our rule is not satisfied, and this means our replace rule should not work or not be executed. If we execute this, we can see here nothing about a 302. All we get is the OK. And we can also see our request was sent to /my. That's exactly what we expected. This is already everything I wanted to show you today. Even though I think this video was quite short and the examples quite simple, the URL redirects and rewrites are a very powerful tool how you can make your application more accessible. And also, if you want to update something or change something, you can do the redirects on the gateway and then just send them to the new location. I try to keep the examples simple for you to get started, but you can get creative and get way more complicated, whatever requirements you have. In the next video, I'm going to show you one last example how we can do some routing. There we are going to do some load balancing based on the weights. This will allow us to do some A/B testing or canary deployments. And after this video, I think you will know everything you will need to operate your applications with the Gateway API. I hope this video was interesting for you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you next week with another video.